We're going to look at some word classes today, and we use our knowledge of word classes to help us to build sentences. So sentences have a number of rules that we need to follow. Most of them are really simple and quite easy, such as they need to start with a capital letter. We all know that. And they need to end with a punctuation mark. Now, that is most commonly a full stop, but it can be a question mark or an exclamation mark. So we have a bit of choice, and that all depends on what we're doing. So I'm going to just leave those little rules there. Now, when it comes to building a sentence, we have to know some key things. We have to know about our nouns and our adjectives. So a noun is the name of something. Now, we've gone through all this in school and in class many, many times, but just as a quick recap, we need to know that a noun is a name, and we need to know that an adjective describes the name of whatever it is. Now, when I say a name, it could be the name of a thing, or it could be the name of a person, it could be the name of anything. So let's just say paper. Paper is the name of a thing. I'm going to write down paper. And the adjective then will obviously describe the paper. So we could say the paper is white, we could say that the paper is thin, we could say that the paper is, I don't know, yellow, it could be whatever. The paper is not yellow, but we could have yellow paper. And in a sentence, you could use them together. So you could say yellow paper or white paper, and generally you would use these with a determiner. Determiners are easy. There's a, an, the, there's many others, but these are the common ones. So you could say the white paper, the white paper, okay? And that would be your noun phrase. So you've told me what it is that's in your sentence. So let's just say that we've got white paper, the white paper, and then in the other corner we've got verbs and adverbs. So what is somebody doing and how are they doing it? It's not necessarily how. You could say how, you could say when, and you can also say where. Now, we've been over this as well, and we should be able to remember this. So if we take a verb is an action or a doing word, something that we do. I'm going to say, well, let's use it, what I'm doing now. I'm writing. So a verb could be write. Okay. Now, we have a choice. I could say writing, if it's something that I'm doing still, which I am. I could also say written in the past tense, and wrote. There's lots of different ways I could use it. So learning the past and the present and the continuous and all that, that's something we can do again. But for now, I know that I'm doing it. I'm writing. Okay, so I'm going to use the present continuous, writing. And how am I writing? When am I writing? Where am I writing? So right now, let's use when. I like when. Right now it is quite late at night. So let's say late at night. Because obviously Mr. Short has nothing better to do than to make little videos about writing on white paper late at night. So let's build a sentence. But before we do that, I'm going to show you one more thing. Let me just zoom back out. And that's prepositions. Most people in my class know what prepositions are. Just a quick recap. I always remember that it tells you the position. And what it does, it links the parts of a sentence together. So we could have below, on, above, next to, under, around, whatever it is that tells you where you are doing it, what position you are in, preposition. So let's use on. I like on because that will fit with our sentence. So if I'm going to build my sentence now, I need to know which order to put things in. So I can't just say paper white and writing late at night on, because it doesn't make sense. So generally, I have to say that something is happening in a specific order, in a certain order. So let's use me as an example. So let's say Mr. Short. So we're going to start with the subject, which is me. Mr. Short is, now I could say was would tell me that I've already done it. Was, but I'm going to say is because I'm doing it right now. So it's the present. Mr. Short is, what am I doing? My verb is the action, so writing. Mr. Short is writing. What am I writing? Am I writing, let's try a preposition. I'm writing on the, there's my determiner, on the white paper. I like that. Let's say white paper. Mr. Short is writing on the white paper, and then let's describe how, when, or where. Now we already said when, so let's use that. Mr. Short is writing on the white paper late at night. Okay. Now, if we take this initial sentence and we can now expand it with loads of other cool things. So, Mr. Short, let me just write it down really quickly. Mr. Short is writing, that's what I'm doing, on the white paper. Now I'm gonna leave out my adverb now because I'm going to add something different, and I don't want it to become too long, because sometimes there's nothing worse than a really long sentence, because it gets confusing. So let's just keep it simple. Mr. Short is writing on the white paper. Now, I'm going to use one of the most important things in writing. I'm going to use a conjunction, or sometimes called a connective, and that tells us something else. It gives us another piece of information. I'm going to use because. Now we'll go through some conjunctions a bit later. Mr. Short is writing on the white paper because. Now because always is going to tell us why I'm doing it. Why am I writing on the white paper? Because it should help. Oh no, can't spell. It should help the students to remember. Okay, now it's not a brilliant sentence, but I've used my word classes correctly. So let's just recap, and now let's see if I can identify some of the key things. So, Mr. Short, this is a noun, and more than that, it's actually called a proper noun. It's called a proper noun because it's a real name for a real person, me. And it has capital letters, so you know it's a proper noun. Is writing, so is writing. Writing is the verb. On, that's the preposition. The white paper, so that's my determiner, with my noun and my adjective, or my adjective and my noun. Let's just keep it in the right order. Because is a conjunction. It should help the students remember. Now I've got more information there, which I'll talk about later. So, I know that was confusing, so let's take it back a little bit, and let's go back to the basics. So you could be asked to at any point, well, not that you will be asked to, but you'll need to know this. Can't tell if I'm in focus or not. There we go. So you will be asked to identify the nouns and the verbs and everything else. So if I just write a quick sentence. So there's a nice sentence. The dog barked loudly at the postman. So you're going to do this with me if you're watching this. There. What word is that? It's a determiner because it tells you, it kind of introduces the thing, the noun. So you could say a dog barked loudly, but it's not any dog, it's the dog. So in my story or whatever I'm writing, it's the dog. The dog, obviously we know that the dog is the noun. Barked, that's what the dog was doing. So that's a verb. And then how did he bark? Well, it was loudly. So if you describe something being done, that's an adverb. At the postman, let's just do another noun there. Now at the, we don't need to worry about that. We've got obviously our determiner, and at is just a little a linking word. We could say it's a preposition because it's at something. It tells you the preposition, but we don't need to worry about that yet. All we need to know is that we have the key vocabulary here. Now, it's a simple sentence. In your writing, you will be required to make the sentences better. So what's missing from here? Yeah, it's an adjective. So, where can I put an adjective? I could describe the noun, which is the dog, or I could also describe the postman. Whatever we want to do. Let's do both. So, what kind of dog is it? Well, we could say it's a big dog, it's a huge dog, it's a small dog. Doesn't matter. After a while, the more you read, you will have a bank of adjectives in your head that you will be able to use. I'm going to say suspicious, because that's a lovely way of describing the dog. The suspicious dog barked loudly at the... What kind of postman was it? Now, if the dog is barking loudly at the postman, maybe he's frightened or scared. So I might want to describe the postman as frightened. The suspicious dog barked loudly at the frightened postman. We have now used all these things. We've added an adjective as well. And we've been able to create a sentence. Now, the only way that you can get better at this, there's two ways. Read. You have to read. Okay? Every single day, every single minute, whenever you get a chance, start reading. Okay? If you do not read, you will not improve your writing. It's that simple. You have to read. And aside from reading, get writing. Get a piece of paper like I'm doing now and just build a sentence. Just build a sentence. Make one up. Make it as funny as you want. Make it as horrible as you want. But practice getting your words in the correct order. A lot of mistakes happen when you misuse the word. You've got your idea, but you can't get it out. So let's say, I think a common mistake would be, he went into a shop for buying footballs. I don't know. Let's just make a really bad sentence. That could be how some people speak. Now, excuse my handwriting there, it's a bit messy. But you've obviously got a sentence here that's not very good. It's not very clear. He went into a shop for buying footballs. You get the idea. He's buying footballs, and it's a he, so you know it's a boy. He went into a shop. That's pretty good. Okay, now we're going to improve it in a bit. But we've got this word for, and we also use this a lot. We mistake the word to and for. Sometimes you guys will come up to me and you'll say, he said for me. And he didn't say it for you, he said it to you. And it's the same problem here. We actually need to say the word to. He went into a shop to buying footballs. Now, we're not going to say buying, we're going to say to buy. Because buying, ing, that tells us that it's still happening. But it's not. He's finished. Because he went. Went is past tense. Now I'm going to fly through this. I'm going really quickly, but I'm just going to bombard you with some sentence kind of theory here so that if you watch this again and again, it will start to make sense. So now we've got he went. Now we want to say he. We know it's a boy. Hopefully before this in my story, I would have told you who he is so that you know who he is. For now, it doesn't matter. He went into, I'm going to put into together because it's going to join together. He went into a shop to buy. Now, did he want to buy footballs, which is lots of footballs, or did he just want to buy one football? Because I don't think people buy many footballs. So let's just say he bought one football. To buy a football. There's our determiner there. So now we have a sentence that makes sense, and now we can start to make it better. So he went into a shop to buy a football. He went into what kind of shop would sell a football? Let's use an adjective to describe it. Maybe it was a sports shop. He went into a sports shop to buy a football. What kind of football did he want to buy? Lovely. A FIFA football. A FIFA 19 football, maybe. So you've got now a chance to add details. Now there's one thing I hate, and I'm going to pick up on it. It's this word, went. Went doesn't tell me anything. It just tells me that he went into a shop. I want to ask, how did he go into the shop? So now we have a chance to change went for a different verb. Maybe we could describe how he went in. So did he run into the shop? Did he sneak into the shop? Did he crawl into the shop? Maybe he was playing football earlier in the day. He had an accident and he's got a bad leg and now he's limping into the shop. So maybe let's use an easy one. He was running, and we don't want to say run into a shop. He ran, because ran is the past tense. So he ran into a sports shop to buy a football. Now if he ran, how did he run? Let's add an adverb. Now we can add the adverb after or before. So he quickly ran into a shop, or he ran quickly into a shop. It doesn't matter where we put it at the moment because it still sounds really good. So now we've got he quickly ran into a sports shop to buy a FIFA 19 football. There we go. We've just taken a really bad sentence. We've changed one word. We've altered this word because we know that we need to change it, and we've made it into a better sentence. The only way, again, that you will know how to change these things and how to make it better, to know what is right, is to read, okay? You have to read. And by reading, then, you get, I don't know how to describe it. You just know so much more. You have a bigger bank of words in your head that you know how to spell, that you know how to use, and that's super, super important. So guys, it was a bit confusing, this one, but we went through a few little ideas about using nouns and adjectives and adverbs and determiners. Watch it again when you're a little bit more used to it and you've been practicing, and you will be able to use them better. Get reading. Read a book now.